Hey guys, welcome to Strictly Ball Business, episode 20. We're excited to break down the latest going on in the National Basketball Association here around November 11/11. Time to make your favorite wish to hope that your team makes their ass to the playoffs. If you're the Pelicans, you're hoping for a miracle. You're wishing for an asteroid to maybe destroy the Earth and take you away from this miserable team that you're watching. And so we'll get into that team first, just in general, what the hell is going on and what they should do in New Orleans with the Pelicans. We'll also get into Cole Anthony's hot start. He's just been awesome to watch. And so we'll dive into that a little bit further. The Timberwolves defense has not been awesome to watch. They have been horrendous on this 6-game losing streak now. And so we're going to talk about, what can they do to make that losing streak stop? And we'll also talk about the Wolves-Warriors game from last night. We've got reaction to that. Anthony Edwards dropped 48 points and the Wolves lost. Warriors had a solid game. And then we'll wrap it up with the Kings. They're 5-6 now, I believe. And what can they possibly do for improvement on the trade market? 5-7. They lost yesterday. What can they do on the trade market to get better? We're gonna get into that a little bit as well. So first off, the general Pelicans discussion we're gonna have is about how horrendous they are, how they can get better. They're 1-11. Zion is out, and he's super overweight. You've all seen the photos, and now their Zion-less squad with Brandon Ingram and Devontae Graham and Jonas Valanciunas, it's not good enough. 1-11 apparently. I thought it was gonna be better than that.
Yeah, they're 29th in defense. They're 29th in defense at giving up 112 points per game. They're 27th in offense, scoring 101. They're pretty bad. Their true shooting is 51 for the team. Average true shooting for the NBA is about 57. So
yeah, they got worse as shooting from last year to this year, personnel wise, even come into this season. And we knew they needed to get more shooters already.
Yeah. And they added better shooters. You would have thought that they would have gotten better, but I guess not. Volume doesn't mean efficiency.
I mean, they added Devontae Graham. I didn't think he was a good shooter. He might have that sort of reputation, but he's always been inefficient.
Yeah. And he's been inconsistent to start off the year. He's had some good games, but it hasn't mattered because they haven't won those games.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean 26th in turnovers too. This is just a sloppy team, not making shots, not making passes, not doing plays, not playing defense.
I said it before. I'll say it now. They should not have got rid of Lonzo Ball. They should not let him go. They had him restricted. They literally just could have matched the offer that he got in Chicago. And now he's having a great season over there. He just had an awesome game last night alongside ex-Laker Alex Caruso. The Bulls are fun again, and Lonzo Ball is a big part of that. And he was fun in New Orleans too. They were a fun squad last year when Zion was healthy. Zion likes Lonzo, and then they're just we're just gonna let him go.
Yeah, and now they lost that playmaker. They didn't really get one back. I mean, Devontae Graham's a good passer. I wouldn't say he's the floor general. They lost a floor general and got a decent passer.
Yeah, they brought back Satoransky too. They were we're going to bring in two guys that have some of the qualities Lonzo has, but in two different guys, and we're going to hope it equals the one. It's it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, Sato was the backup point guard for the Bulls. I mean, he was good. They didn't win games, but he played well. So you can kind of look at that. But so the way I see it, the Pelicans have three options, right? So they can assume Zion will fix everything. When he comes back, we're going to be a playoff team. All this team is built around Zion. I mean, that's one argument is they're we built a team around a guy who's not even playing. So they have to learn to play basketball without him.
Sure. But what are they going to be, 3-20 when he comes back? And he's not going to pull them out of that. Season's already dead at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say when he comes back, it will help out their offense a lot because he'll be able to collapse the opposing defense And that's
Sure.
what this team's built around, like open floor shooters like Valanciunas, Devontae Graham, um, Josh Hart.
Yeah,
Obviously, Brandon
Brandon
Ingram will
Ingram.
get his, but uh, I don't know if it's gonna really do as much as they want with them. Like ideally, you want when your best players out, you want to be competitive still because that shows depth. That shows like what the team really is. Like look at the Bucks. They're still in the playoff, like top seeds, and they've had at least two of their starters out this whole season so far. At least per game, at least two starters have been out, minus the first game, which they look great in. So I'm not too worried about the Bucks. I'm super worried about the Pelicans. But he will help their half court offense at least, and half court defense. Their transition defense will still be horrible without him.
Yeah.
But he does help out their half court defense. He's huge. You can't just move him. And obviously he's going to help out their offense in those ways, but no, I don't think that's the best option. Second option I see is if he's out for a while, just trade Valanciunas, trade Bi, gets on. Maybe Devontae Graham can stay. He's been a decent part. Throw Sato in some trades. I think they can reset, almost not a rebuild, but reset to better. Like there's teams that I know would love Brandon Ingram, and I have two trades that I put together that could possibly be decent for this team. But I think you make the trades while you can. I mean, if Zion's going to be out for a while, just do what the Warriors did. Be bad, get back some talent, maybe trade that talent away for a better star. I mean, right now they don't. Who's
The
their
Warriors
best
didn't
young
do that.
player? Yeah,
They didn't
well,
trade away their star for
you're right.
random picks and players.
However, I mean, they had
I mean, you
D'Lo
have
traded.
Brandon. Yeah, okay. You have Brandon Ingram in the building. You're not going to be able to get somebody better than him. So I don't see the point in trading him with how young he is. I mean,
I'm not saying better. I'm saying more complimentary to Zion. I don't think he's the best fit next to Zion. I think typically when you have a really nice forward, you don't like look at Paul George and Kawhi, right? When your best two players are two forwards, it's hard to get past that. But like when it's like Chris Middleton, who's effectively a guard, and like I mean, depends how you like look at Chris Middleton and Giannis. You look at LeBron's effectively a guard next to Anthony Davis. Like typically, you want that guard plus center and forward.
yeah, but
And
Ingram is a jump shooter. He's a volume mid-range and 3-point scorer. So I'm
which
not sure it's clogging the lanes a whole lot with Zion.
it's not. However, Zion really needs a nice playmaker, like an elite playmaker. I mean, if they want to be a championship team, they're going to need an elite playmaker, period. And I think, I mean, obviously, Dame for uh, Bi is out there, but I don't think that's available right now. And that's not also what the trade I have. Like that's obviously ideal. I just think there's some possible trades to do a reset almost. I just threw out some trades that are more possible, maybe not make the most sense, but we'll mix up. I mean, it's not working. It's
Yeah,
not
let's hear
working.
the trades.
So, first trade is actually with the Timberwolves. They give up Sato and Brandon Ingram and they get Patrick Beverly, D'Angelo Russell, and a second round pick. So immediately they're trading away the better player, but they get a guy who, I mean, he did well in Golden State. He did well with the Nets. Maybe it's just that an already bad defensive team adds a bad defensive point guard with the Timberwolves. Maybe adding, I mean, they're bad. The Pelicans are bad defensively, but maybe him next to Zion will be a lot better. It's shown that he can play well with big men when he played with Jared Allen. Didn't really play with some big men. But he does do well when Cat's on the floor. I mean, last season at least, not this season. But I think he would work a lot better next to Zion because Zion's going to open lanes even more than he has now because he's shown he can hit the open shot. It's just these stupid contested shots D'Angelo keeps trying to take. And they get a good veteran, a dog, good guy for defense and Pat Bev. I mean, they get rid of Sato. Whatever. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably do it for both. I mean, I do it for the Wolves. I don't know if I do it as the Pelicans, but as a Pelican, I think you would want somebody a little bit better than D'Lo. If you're getting him on that salary, like I think you could take someone worse than D'Lo, like at Tyrese Halliburton. If it's someone on like a rookie scale contract, where it's not like they're tied to it if the guy ends up not being worth it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But so here's my second trade. This one I actually like a little more. It's the Raptor. It's with the Raptors. The Pelicans give up Satoransky, Brandon Ingram, and Kyra Lewis Jr., and they get back Goran Dragic and Pascal Siakam. So obviously they get a point guard. He's not an elite passer, but he's a serviceable. Like, he went to the finals as the starting point guard for the Heat. I mean, that was 2 years ago, and he's still getting old, but a nice veteran to get in there to this young team is nice. Pascal is a champion. Like, he's had an off season and a half, but he's shown that he can be an improvement. And now he's in a clogged system with a ton of forwards, and I think he can certainly work. I mean, if he can work next to Kawhi, I mean, it's still kind of that same issue about two main forwards next to each other, but he won a championship with Kawhi. He did something right. So him next to Zion would be nice. And Goran Dragic obviously doesn't want to be at the Raptors, so they get a nice veteran there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Raptors, I don't know why you would want Brandon Ingram over Pascal Siakam necessarily. I think if you're trading Siakam away, you're looking to get a guard or a center. So
yeah,
not sure it works out for them in that case, but I like it for the Pelicans.
Yeah, I mean, they just need something mixed up. What they're doing now doesn't work, which brings me to the third option: is just do nothing, wait for Zion to get back, and push for it to be a fringe.
I thought that was option one.
No, option one was just to wait, let Zion not rush. This one, the difference is this one rushes him back from injury, and the other one's like, dude, take your time, but we're not going to.
They're obviously not going to rush him back. I mean,
yeah, well, I mean,
I don't
they're just losing wins.
He might rush himself back, but
yeah, I'm not saying this is the best option. I'm just saying, like they could just rush him back, be like, come on, man, we got to win games. Obviously, this is the worst option, but none of these options are ideal, I guess. I'm with option two. I'm saying mix up the team, throw around some trades. Brandon Ingram hasn't worked next to Zion yet. I think not that he's a bad player. I think that they just need a more complimentary player. And that's what they should be going out trying to get.
Yeah. Well, I think we've beaten this topic enough. Let's move on to one of the hot starts in the NBA of your favorite team, the Orlando Magic, their very own Cole Anthony. He is killing it. He looks like the truth, man. I mean, he's rebounding, he's stealing, he's scoring these facts. I mean, we went to the game. He was here a couple weeks ago, played in Minnesota, and he was just drilling 3 after 3 in the fourth quarter. He had kind of a tough start for the game, but he finished it out really strong because he has that dog mentality, and it just, he kind of has that it factor to him sometimes. Like he may be a little smaller, it seems like, on the court, but he's a hooper, he's a baller, he will score and he'll win the game for you sometimes. And that's what he's been doing here early on. And him alongside Franz has looked really fun.
Oh yeah. He's got that AI tough swag. He's that's it. Like, that's what he's got. And he's super fun to watch. He's 6'2", 21 years old. I got some cool stats. All right. So the league average in PER is it's like awards per possession, like whether it's assist, good screen, or whatever. It's 15. He's 19.2. I mentioned earlier, league average true shooting percentage 57. He's 59. And I mean, second year player shooting above true league average with the volume he is fucking great. Every time he gets more than 7 assists, they win the game, period. So there's that. And the team itself is 11 in assists and 14 in potential assists, which means, as he's the starting point guard and playmaker, obviously Jalen Suggs and even bigs like Wendell Carter Jr., when there's open players, they're finding them. And that's just as important as having an elite playmaker on the floor or a byproduct of. We'll see. But also, he is 61% of his catch and shoot. And I mean, he's 36 from the corner, but 61 of his he's making 61% of his catch and shoot threes, 61%.
Yeah. Just putting him up right away. He's just drilling them. Yeah. I mean, I believe you.
Yeah. And Two more stats from 10 to 16 feet, which is like prime mid range. He is 75% and he's shooting 60% around the basket. And
That's
finally, he is
that's crazy.
number one in pull up threes in the NBA today. Number
Wow.
one in pull up
Yeah, so
threes.
he's just scoring from everywhere, catch and shoots, pull ups, inside, mid range. I mean, what I'm
Yeah,
hearing is that Cole Anthony can score anywhere he wants.
he's going to be an elite talent in this league. And I didn't put too much. I mean, I knew he was going to be good when we talked about them in our young core episode, but I didn't think he was going to be this good coming off. And he's great. Um, I mean, he's really solidified that when Fultz comes back, Fultz is going to be off the bench, but then it's going to be a battle between Fultz and Suggs, who's getting that starting shooting guard spot, or Cole plays shooting guard. I mean, either way. But
By the way, Cole's got to start. I mean,
yeah,
he's too good. You can't ignore the numbers. Like he's winning you games right now.
for sure. And I mean, like Suggs, you get defense out of Suggs that he's already showing up, and that's nice. But when Fultz comes back, I'd say Fultz is the best passer on the team, even with what Cole Anthony is showing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's because Fultz is just a super
Yeah.
smart player, so he's going to be able to. Cole's shown that he can play off of him with 61% off just catch and shoot threes. He's awesome, and
I think Fultz will, if he doesn't start right away, like he'll basically just be like a sixth starter anyways. Like he'll get plenty of minutes once he's fully healthy.
yeah, I mean, even in the small ball lineup, I mean, they could have lineups with all three of them out there. I mean, 6'3", 6'4", and 6'2". I mean, it's small ball, but with guy. I mean, if they have the Twin Towers in with Bamba and this is probably not
I don't know if
PC.
I don't know if the three guard lineup's gonna work this year, just because defensively I don't think Suggs is there. But in a year or two, if you still got all three, yeah, definitely. But I feel like one of them's gonna get traded, before the end of next season.
Suggs is actually surprisingly defensively. He has a negative 3.2 on defensive rating, which means when he guards them, they do worse, which is what you want out of a defender. So he's doing really well. And Franz is even better. He's like -7. So when he guards somebody, they're 7 less points. So they're both off to good defensive starts. But Cole Anthony, man, super happy to see. I'm just glad we have a good guard. It's been so long. T-Mac, I miss you.
Yeah, we'll see if Cole can be the next T-Mac. That would be wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Something that hasn't been so great to start this season has been the start for the Minnesota Timberwolves defense. And the main reason for that is the perimeter defense has just been atrocious. They barely put a hand up when guys leak out there. I've seen constantly lazy plays from Patrick Beverly and D'Lo as they're not getting back in transition. And we constantly have guys getting caught up in screens that leave guys wide open. It's just mind blowing that we don't know how to play defense. And I don't know if there's a way to fix it, because it's just the Minnesota Timberwolves, isn't it, Dalton?
Yeah, I think this is a personnel problem. I mean, it's shown on the floor. You can see it on the floor because when they're on, they're on. Chris Finch has what the issue is, why there's always these open guys. They're giving up way too many threes, is because defensive rotations. Like you saw, especially if you watched the game last night, which we'll talk about later, but they are missing defensive rotations. There are times, especially in that. I mean, it was the Warriors swing offense, so it's the hardest offense to keep track of. However, there were times there was an open player, just somebody would miss a rotation. You'd have Ant and D'Lo just standing by a guy. Neither one would commit to the guy with the ball either, giving up an open three in front of them. But because they're just missing rotations, they have no idea where to go. This is like the least smart defensive team I have ever seen in my life. Like they just don't know where to go. And I get it's hard. Being on court's hard, but like you're an NBA team and you're missing these wide open rotations. Like obviously someone's doing. I don't like at first I was like, oh, they're trying to run a zone, but they're not even doing that. They're just completely missing these guys.
Like it's like keep your eye on the fucking ball. I mean, how hard is that?
There's a ton of reasons why. I mean, surprisingly, they're only a mid-tier defense as a whole, and somehow their interior defense is doing fine. It's not due to Cat. Vanderbilt's been great. McDaniels has been great defensively. Yeah. And Naz Reid's been great defensive. Naz Reid's just a huge bright point for this team anyway. But they are the worst defensive team. I mean, the worst defensive rebounding team. Worst rebounding team, period. They're 25th in offense, which is supposed to be their bright spot. That's what that like they have all these players are supposed to be have
Yeah.
a good offense, and that's not
Well, yeah.
happening.
I mean, the last few years, like we haven't been lower than like 16th, for the full
Yeah.
season. And now we're 25th all of a sudden. We've got like mainly the same guys.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah, finish your
just
point there.
no, I could go on forever, but like
Yeah.
they have this, they just have no effort on the defensive end. Like I don't. So like for example, the perfect
Cat doesn't give
example
a shit.
is defensive rebounds. I just said they're dead last in the league, but they are fourth in offensive rebounds. It's like when they go across court, the effort level, not saying execution, but effort level, totally different team.
Well,
Not last night.
you know why is because we're trying to play catch up
Yeah.
and we've got to try hard on offense, but they can't piece together that you also have to try hard on defense.
Yeah. And it's just I don't, it's hard to tell like if like an average, like when you have all these, they're like you have all this talent, they've all played well, like typically that points to a coach, but they're also 29th in turnovers. I just think I really think it's personnel. And honestly, after
Yeah.
this far, I mean, at least they're ninth in pace, so they're keeping it. They have the right. That shows me that the coach is like, this is the right system. You guys are a run and gun team. Get down the floor, do what you can. The pace is that doesn't, that's pushed by the coach and what the coach pushes onto the team during practice.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, Spurs will always be one of the worst teams in pace because that's how Greg does it. That's how Popovich does it. So like they have the right. He at least knows the team they're supposed to be. Chris Finch. And I was a little questionable about him, but he knows they're first in threes attempted, ninth in pace, three and 3-pointers made. I mean, they're 21st in three-point percentage. But the coach has the right idea. He's like, this is the type of team this has to be, and he's right. But there's go ahead. Before I get on to my next point.
Yeah, we've just had nights where we've been like ice cold. That's why we're like 21st and 3. But I mean, just in the reason for defense, like it is just like we're not getting out to the guys that are leaking out in the perimeter. So we end up giving up like 25 points to Reggie Jackson, But Nicholas Batum also had like almost 20 points both those games, I think. So
all from 3, pretty much.
Yeah, it was like all from 3. It was like, okay, well, I can see what the problem is. Why are we not guarding this more? But the rebounding is a huge significant issue for me because Cat used to average 12 rebounds a game, no problem, and it seemed like that number was only going up. And he would fight there for rebounds, and on the defensive end would get us out into transition, and we would get easy buckets, or at least we get opportunities. And now he just doesn't look like he wants to try that. He's just out there getting frustrated all the time, bitching and whining about whatever play on offense that he's mad about because he didn't get a foul call, and then it's affecting him on defense. And if it's not affecting him on defense in that way, it's affecting the fact that he's always in foul trouble early, and then he's got to play defense differently, or he's not in the game for a bit. And then it's just kind of how it goes. Like, he needs to be better, and we've always said that. We said that year after year after year. It's year 7, and I'm seeing like finger pointing from him rather than him pointing at himself. He had that one quote where he said like 3 losses in a row could turn to 17, 18, 19 in a row. And then, just like his body language is awful. He went straight to the locker room at the end of the last game. Didn't even say hi to Wiggins. So I don't know. I think it's a big attitude problem with him right now. And I didn't think that was necessarily going to be him when like we first drafted him. And even the last few years, I thought this was a guy with great potential and he could definitely be a good leader. But then you have a guy like Ant come in and year 2 drop 48. And he's always got these great quotes about being a leader. Like just today, he said, yeah, what I said last week about how how I got tired of driving to the rim, because he said something about how he was driving to the rim and like he was getting exhausted from it. He was like, yeah, I was dumb for saying that. That's loser talk. I actually need to push through that. And like great players, they get through that that barrier. And it's like, He's very mature. I think he's a guy who obviously wants to keep improving. And that's something I question with Cat if he actually wants to get better.
No, yeah. I mean, 7 years, you've been good 1 year, and it was because you brought in who is now an MVP type talent. Uh I mean, it's eventually you're gonna be like, is it Cat? Is it you, Cat? Because like you're right. Yeah. It's rebounding's all down. He's the center. He's gotta run that, he's got to get those rebounds, and he's spending so like this year he's spending way more and more time out in at the three. So you're like, all right, he's not going to get as many offensive rebounds. But then like their transitions off, like watching transition offense, he's never the first down the floor. I'm like, what are you
Yeah, he's
doing?
always trailing.
If
Yeah.
you're hanging out on the perimeter, you should be the first back. I mean, granted, you're slow, but like center, usually every other center is starting from the paint when they're getting back on defense. You're from three. I mean, I get it. Like it's really hard, but like, where are you, man? Like when D'Lo's the only one back possession after possession, aside from D'Lo being a terrible the worst defender in the league, uh, like, come on, man, he needs more help. But
Yeah, I question the effort level. And like I understand like people don't want to give Cat shit because we love him and he had such a tough year last year and he's had a couple of injuries the last couple of years. But as a player, if Karl Anthony Towns wants to succeed in this league, he needs to be elite at the things he's good at, and he needs to improve in other areas. And instead, he's thrown away some of the things he was really good at. Like he used to pass a lot too.
yeah, he became a really nice passer last year. You're right.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of facilitating from him. It's just frustrated driving and hand flailing.
Yeah, granted, he is learning. The big thing is like he's not the best player on the team anymore. Period. That's it. Like, and he's learning to be that second. He went from being the number one scoring option on the team every year he's been there to now he's 2, which some players that's a lot. But however, like you can't just check out, man. Like he can't like some plays. He's just like Edwards, run it, do whatever, man. Like, and I'm like, come on, like you got to do.
I know. And that just turns into ISO ball, and it's like, yeah, it works sometimes, but you guys need to work together because that can bring us to another level. But it's like they're not on the same page.
Yeah, the most successful possessions they've had is that Cat and Edwards pick and roll. It's dangerous and like pick and pop, pick and roll, like it because Anthony Edwards, every time they do it, he's able to get Cat. He's able to find him on the perimeter, or he's able to catch him rolling. Like that's been like the best. And like, granted, he runs it and it doesn't work all the time, but it's sometimes he gives like these half-ass picks. I'm like, dude, I could get over that.
Yeah.
Like, but
he's not tough. He's not tough. And like I always thought like, people saying he wasn't tough. I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna totally argue that, but like I felt like that was kind of unfair in some ways. But now I'm kind of on board with it. Yeah, he's really not that tough of a player mentally or physically.
Like I feel bad. Like Cat is like, yeah, he had a hard year last year, the year before, and like he's been in a losing culture like for most of his time there. Like some of it's not all his fault, but I just like I'm this fired up because I know he can be better. I know he's like a better player, and he's just not out there right now. He's not being that guy right now, and like that's okay.
It just feels like he's regressed. Like
he
used to be a guy who would get 25 and 12 every night. Great shooting, and the defense has never been there, but we hoped it was going to get there eventually. But still isn't. But even the things he was good at, he's not as good at anymore. And it's like, great, you are an elite shooter. We love you for that, and that's awesome. But you're also 7 feet tall, and you can drive it to the rim, and you can play some defense if you wanted to. But I don't think the effort level's there.
Even you can be a subpar defensive center in this league and still be wonderful, still be on a great team. Look at Vooch with the Bulls, successful with the Magic. I mean, Jokic has been good at the Nuggets, and he hasn't been the best defender. I mean, he's really good now. Like he is showing defensive. That's why he won MVP. He was a good defensive player last year. But you can do it. Like we know you're not going to be that defense. All that defense potential you were drafted on isn't going to happen. But you just just buy in, man. Like I believe that he could lead this team to playoffs. Like I said it before, like that he could have earlier before the season started. But I have
For sure.
one last point, and it's on D'Lo. So D'Lo, when he's not hitting shots, completely ineffective. Just like because he goes cold. He's a very streaky player because when he's hot, red hot, can't stop him. Like, yeah, that's what he did last night. Came out to 18 points, did well, but when he's not hitting shots, he's completely ineffective because he is the worst defensive player in the league. Like I show as if I see that he gives the presence that he's there to try, but there's a few times in a fast break he's the only guy back. It was like Steph Curry and he just moved out of the way. I'm like, he's not going to dunk. Just put your hands up, man. Just stand there, put your hands up. Steph Curry will probably go around you, but at least give me that. He just went like this and moved. I was like, come on, man. But I will say, so because of there's no creation out of the top of the front two, like Cat and Anthony Edwards. Oh, it's like, there's no creation out of those outside of those two, and one of the huge reasons that the Timberwolves had a really nice half last season was because D'Lo was coming off the bench. He was doing a Lou Will 6th man of the year where he just sat out the first 2 minutes, came in, and he was able to facilitate the second team, and that was his best. He was getting his points per minutes were crazy because he was facilitating all the shots, taking all the shots. So he was able to run that second tier offense great. So like I think that's worth trying. I mean, you can have Pat start the team with like Pat Bev. You can have you can toss Okogie in there, or maybe even just move Beasley up to the second so he gets more spacing for shooting because clearly he can't create his own off the bench like we expected. So Pat Bev, Beasley, and then Edwards, like McDaniels or Vanderbilt. I personally would rather have Vanderbilt in the starting lineup right now with because he's going crazy with those offensive rebounds next to Cat. I think that would that's
Vanderbilt
a lineup to try.
Vanderbilt's probably a better player than McDaniels at the moment. McDaniels only averaging 4 and 4 right now. Decent defense, obviously getting some steals and blocks, but absolutely non-existent on offense.
I mean, it's tough for a young player because what they're asking from him is to be the defensive leader on the floor at 19, 20.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he's a first round pick though, and he's got a lot of promise, and we propped him up a lot this offseason. So I was hoping for a little bit more. We need a power forward who can give us a bit more on offense. So definitely. But I think that's enough on the Timberwolves. Did we talk about the game yet?
We can talk about we breezed over it, but we can talk about it more on because we got to mention Golden State too.
Yeah, so the Wolves and Warriors played yesterday. Warriors end up winning this one by 11, and it wasn't that close of a game. Timberwolves kind of were making a run, got to be down by 5 a couple times, but then Warriors just kept pulling away. Great game for Andrew Wiggins. As per usual, he only likes trying hard against teams who spurned him. It's just totally bizarre. Like, it's clearly an effort thing. Like, you saw the way that dunk he had on Cat. The
2 of them.
Especially the second one. But the confident pull-up threes where he was just shooting them and drilling them right away. Like, you don't see that every night out of Andrew Wiggins. You only see that when he's got a personal vendetta. Otherwise, he doesn't care. He could give a single, shit. Otherwise, he doesn't care. I think that's ridiculous. Like, no one should feel happy about that. Andrew Wiggins can go screw himself. I mean, Warriors fans, I saw even commenting like, "Oh, there's one of Andrew's 3 great games this year."
I mean, they're right. Like, he was doing it defensively too. He was there making the right rotations. No, when the game started, I thought the storyline of the game, I saw Ant, like they were doing a bunch of switches on offense. Ant saw he had Andrew Wiggins instantly called for an ISO. I was like, oh, this is the storyline. What Wiggins was supposed to be versus Wiggins. I was like, this is gonna be great. And then they were doing the whole first quarter, they were just dueling. Wiggins didn't miss a shot. Anthony Edwards was going hard. I think he only missed 1 or 2 shots. Like it was really fun. And then it just became a sad story about how the Warriors have completely figured out their offense without Klay Thompson. And were able to manage off even when their best defensive player is off the floor. They were able to just hold them off and be like, all right, you know what? We're up. We're going to keep this going. And the Warriors are great. I mean, Steph Curry, like it looked like he didn't even have the ball that often. His usage had to be really low this game, but he affected it in every type of way. He was playing great defense. The way he leads this team is crazy. They're awesome.
Yeah, no, they're fun to watch. And, I think I had them picked for my winner in the West this year. So I'm hoping to have them maybe. I'm not necessarily hoping for that, to be honest, but I'm hoping to see a fun season. And it so far has been awesome. Curry could win the MVP, which is great. I mean, that'd be awesome if he get another.
I mean, if they hit 60 wins, he should win MVP.
Yep, no doubt. And they're on pace. So,
yeah.
Without Klay, and they'll get Klay back. And once he joins this team, I mean, the marketability is already high, but once he comes back, man, we got to see so much of Klay.
Yeah, I know this Wolves team's they're so fun. They figured every single person has figured out that motion offense. Steve Kerr is again back to nonchalant Steve Kerr. He sits on the side. He's like, yeah. He's like, don't worry. Draymond gets a tech. He's like, yeah. He needs 2 of those to get kicked out or whatever. He's like, whatever. But I mean, and then Draymond, who's he yelling at on the side? He's such a vocal leader. I mean,
I think that was either Wiseman or Poole. He was like,
Looney
was like yelling for some reason.
I think it was Poole because Poole was talking back at him. But I mean, it's whatever. Like they're gonna figure it. I'm not too worried about it.
It's just in the moment sort of thing. Draymond probably was like, What did you say?
Yeah.
You said that the bounce pass doesn't matter versus a chest pass, Jordan. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to run over your whole family. And he's like, Draymond, just chill. And he's like, that's it.
I mean, that's just what Draymond does. He got a tech last year for yelling at James Wiseman. So, like, it's whatever. But I'm not.
How do you get a tech for yelling at your own teammate?
Because he's hilarious. But, I mean, on the Timberwolves side, it was just, they could be good if they had more consistent scores. I mean, Cat was super. He had. I mean, he scored 17, 19, but it wasn't a quiet. It was more like you better, if you shot 15 shots for the game, you better have that score. If not, you're just a bad player. It was like one of those like, okay, you're supposed to make those shots. But I mean, he shot well from 3 at least. He was 50%, 50%, 4 for 8. And I mean, just Ant, clearly the best player on this team.
Career high, 48 points for Ant. I mean, I always question if he should shoot some of the threes he does, but then he keeps proving me wrong and he hits them.
Yeah.
He was fun to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, he had the effort on the defensive end. He just has to get smarter and make the right choices. I mean, a lot of times, like on Jordan Poole, Damian Lee, he went and jumped. Like they got the ball and he jumped off for the block.
Yeah, he'll jump pretty high. Yeah,
like, it's not even jumping too high. I'm like, you don't jump on, like they haven't dribbled. Like you don't do that.
No, right. No, yeah, right. Like there's no need to do that. He's just getting overzealous. Oh, we got Nixie.
Well, she wanted to talk about the Timberwolves. What do you say?
I think we've said
wrong. Go for it.
I think we've said enough on the Wolves and the Warriors last night. It's the Wolves' 6th loss in a row. It's the 11th win for the Warriors. One team is on a championship trajectory. The other one's on a lottery trajectory. So we'll see where that goes. To finish out this episode, we are going to talk about the Kings. They are 5-7, and they could possibly use somebody new, maybe something to get them over the hump. Right now, they're probably going to make the play-in tournament. Maybe it's a lot of predictions are out there for them to make it, but maybe they don't. What can they do to guarantee it is kind of the key question here. I've got a couple trade ideas I want to bounce off of you here.
Yeah.
Maybe on a lower level, they trade for Danilo Gallinari. I think like that could be a good score for them at the 4. They need some threes. They need some more offense. I don't think as much on defense would be a worry there. And for Gallinari, I don't think they'd have to go up a whole lot, but they would have to figure out salary.
Yeah. Gallinari would be a nice pick. I considered that when I was going through my trades. He would definitely be a good veteran for them. Shooting. I do see more of shooting and defense is what I kind of want out of them. I mean, they're 8th in offense right now. That's fine. I think, but they're 16th in 3-point percentage. I think that would push them into having an elite offense for this.
I think I know who you're gonna say, but I'm curious.
Yeah, and then 24, but they're 24th in defense. So defense would be nice. So I see how Gallinari gets there. He adds a little more size, which does help defense, even if they're not the smartest defensive players. But shooting does help. Where's a defense trade I have? Okay. So here's my defense. I've mentioned him before. I've actually mentioned a similar trade before.
I know.
So the Kings give up Tristan Thompson, Harrison Barnes, and Marvin Bagley, and they get back Justin Holiday, TJ Warren, and Miles Turner. This is a pretty big.
Not who I thought you were gonna say.
Oh, really? What do you think I was gonna say?
I thought you were gonna say Porzingis.
Oh no. I think Miles Turner would help out. I think he could either play. I think he could play next to Rashad Holmes. I think he is enough of a floor spacer. He has the 3-point shooting that they're not getting at from Marvin Bagley, that they're not getting from Rashad Holmes now. I mean, insert that in. You get blocks. You get some interior defense. I think he fits well into their system. TJ Warren, you get a good score. You get a decent defense, I guess. And you get a nice defender in Justin Holiday. He's a good 3-and-D guy. He's fine. He's just a nice role player to toss in there. I originally had Torrey Craig in here instead of Justin Holiday, but he can't be traded till March. He can't be traded till March. Yeah.
Okay.
So, you give up Tristan Thompson. You give up. Marvin Bagley's out. He's not even playing. So he's just potential. He's just all this. You're just trading on potential, I guess. But the Pacers get back Harrison Barnes. They get a guy who's just proven he's having a great season already. So I think that'd be good for them.
Yeah, I just laughed at Nixie. Sorry. The guy that I had as my top target for them actually was the other Indiana big man, Domantas Sabonis. As you know, Indiana might see it's smarter to go with Miles Turner themselves and trade away Sabonis, because while Sabonis may be the better player, I think Turner's easier to have guys around, and he doesn't necessarily need to be your number one guy. He's a better defender and he's a better shooter. But Sabonis, bring him into Sacramento, and I think that would help them out a lot. They need a ton of offense at the big position, and he would be perfect for them in the post for De'Aaron Fox to run pick and rolls with. And I think that could work excellent for them.
He's a little better than this, but he's basically Walmart brand Jokic right now. He's good at passing. He's great post scorer. He can figure it out. And I think talent, you can't go wrong with talent. And I think having Sabonis, if your best two are Sabonis and Fox, I think that's a good, they're easy to build together. I think they're complementary, where it's not like a complete hindrance to be next to each other, even though they're not good defensive players. But I think that would be fine. I think
they just need talent. Yeah. Even if they had to give up, Tyrese to make that happen, which they probably would, I feel like that's worth it.
Yeah.
Just to have those top two, because you can assume maybe Davion Mitchell is going to keep getting better. And, if that's the case, you're going to have to trade one of him or Mitch or Halliburton at one point anyway. So I think it could work out well for them. Maybe they trade Buddy Hield as a headliner or Barnes, one of the two for the salary. But, regardless, I think getting a nice, solid big man is what the Kings need. I don't know. There's not really a ton out there other than the Indiana ones. It feels like, obviously if the Kings could try and get Karl Anthony Towns from the Wolves, they would love that. they're gonna have to give us a lot if they did that.
Speaking of Karl Anthony Towns trades, I got one for you because we're going on talent. So since you mentioned talent, I say he obviously helps out shooting. Maybe he just needs a reset with a different team to get back to competitive cat. Not going to help much on defense. However, so let's see if you like this package. It's just Karl Anthony Towns is who they get straight up, but they get back Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley, Davion Mitchell, and then 2 first-round picks from the Kings.
Swap out Mitchell and Halliburton and
really
consider it.
I mean, that'd be nice. I'd see they could probably do that. I almost, if I, as a Timberwolves fan so like the contrary to this trade. So like is if they do this, I think Timberwolves should go to the 76ers and be like, you can have anyone except for Edwards. Just give us Simmons. And then you're essentially building around that core with Simmons. I think that's a completely different team. And I think they are all still complimentary of but having a big 3 of like Buddy Hield, Anthony Edwards, and Simmons, I think they're all work well together. I think that's a completely different dynamic than all 3 teams have, and I think that would change up for a lot of them. So
yeah, I'd like that.
That'd be fine. But that's obviously going completely south from what the Timberwolves were doing 2 years ago. But I think that's just a different. I mean, Kings would still need to add more defense, but as we were just saying, like it adds talent, raises their ceiling. So
I think the Kings, they're looking to raise that ceiling. They got to make the playoffs. They currently hold the longest streak for not making the playoffs in the league. The Wolves, if they traded away Cat, I mean, if we don't make the play-in this year, I could definitely see them trading him away, but we'll see. I think that's a big if. So
yeah. So my last trade. So this one's another being like, hey, this is what we need. So this is a complete change. This is like, hey, we're stuck in mediocrity. We need to do a little bit more. So the Kings will give up Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox, and 2 second-round picks, and they get back Al Horford and Jaylen Brown. So the Celtics side, they need a point guard. They need a main point guard. They need a playmaker. They get back a shooter. They get back 2 guards that are well needed. I don't think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are working out the best. I mean, they're essentially the same player next to each other. It's a lot like Kawhi and PG, like we've mentioned earlier. It's just kind of redundant, and I think they get back a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who's you could argue is as good, or just they're very similar in skill set. I'm not skill set, but how good they are.
Yeah.
But different skill sets, but they're similar to the type of player. You get Al Horford. Honestly, Buddy Hield's not as valuable as people think he is. You could argue on both sides who's the better player. I think Al Horford's going to affect your team a lot more, and you're going to get that defense. You're going to get that veteran response, and you still hold on to Harrison Barnes and guys like that. They would still need a point guard. I think they would hope Tyrese Halliburton is ready and that he'd be step up as their main point guard. Yeah. It adds a lot of flexibility to their roster, and I think this trade could go through a lot of like back and forth, but this is what a guy who is not a NBA GM threw together for a blockbuster trade. Well,
you heard it here first. Not a GM. No, just kidding. What? I mean, it could work. Maybe. I don't know. Kings got to do something, but I think a big move that would be addition by subtraction would be firing Luke Walton as well.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up here. It is episode 20, strictly ball business. We just talked Pelicans, Wolves, Warriors, Kings, and Cole Anthony. So let's look forward to some more games tonight. There's a couple on, so get after it.
Yep.
Do it, man. What game do you think you're going to tune into tonight?
I'll probably see the Raptors game tonight because I'll be at the bar.
There you go.
11-11. That was my wish. Beer.
Yeah, 11-11. Make your wish, baby. All right, we'll see y'all next time on episode 21. We are